I didn't know it was going to count down for us.
JP, give me laser sound, me helicopter sounds. Give me lions roaring, tigers yelling, all of the noises that are from the rumble in the jungle, because we're live on YouTube and we don't have live music to incorporate it. So sorry that I had to remix our usual intro. Get better than it's ever been. And we are better than we've ever been, because now we are here.
We're live.
We are live.
That are clear.
I see the
Hearts that are full, and episode count in the triple digits.
Dang.
Welcome to the 100th episode of the Belligerent Beavs podcast, live on YouTube. Fuck it, we'll do it live.
here.
We're doing it live.
Yeah.
Seems like
What
just
a-
yesterday when we started.
It does. It really does. And what a historic occasion. Honor to be here with you two. Our names are written on the screen. Benjamin Lawrence Sebastian Wehage famously once said it was a podcast for your ears and not for your eyes. And tonight
And you
it's
guys
both.
have proven me wrong.
It took us 100 episodes, and we are here. I should still introduce you to fine, dapper
Please do it.
gentlemen. Anyway, I'm Terry Horseman. Back in Minneapolis after last about 47 hours in Portland, sleeping on a pull-out couch that about 6 feet behind JP. Yeah, we've said it before on the show. It's a comfy pull-out, man.
It's pretty nice.
Yeah. Its pull-out game is strong.
Yeah. That man with the basement couch with the strong pull-out game is JP Bertram in Portland.
Wait.
The host with the most. Celebrating.
I don't know how good that game is.
I was going to say, I have 3
Father's
kids for
Day.
Father's Day.
Right. Well, you won't have to worry about that anymore, as you have I think a procedure to fix that kind of issue lined up in the near future.
Yeah, which is why we're going on a bit of a sabbatical.
That's true. Have we announced that live?
No.
Okay. Well,
surprise.
Surprise. Belligerent Beavs summer hiatus. It won't even be that long of a sabbatical, y'all. We'll be back end of July, sometime in July. Definitely after July 17th, though. That's the stipulation in my contract. But yeah,
unless there's some crazy news that occurs in between that we need an emergency pod part 2 for.
Pac-12 and Apple may strike a deal, or they probably won't, but they could.
Manchester City, Manchester United, Arsenal, and Chelsea are all joining the Pac-12 with the new mega streaming rights, and it's going to be. We're spanning continents. We're spanning iterations of football. The sky's the limit in this digital day and age. But I also want to hear from the father of the pod himself, the pod father. I feel like that's kind of a common nickname in podcast culture, but you can be our pod father. JP, how was your Father's Day?
It was good. I did nothing, to be honest. We are headed out of town. We're going to California for a while, headed out into the mountains. And so the one thing we haven't done in the last 3 days is buy groceries, because we're just trying to use up what we have before we leave.
I noticed that as a house guest this past 2 days.
Yep.
Normally there's much more of a fridge to raid.
Yeah, and the problem really arose this morning when we had no coffee. So I woke up. I got to sleep in till 8:50, which was incredible. And then I went and walked to the coffee shop, got some donuts down the street as well. So all started amazing. I would say the only thing that went awry was me trying to be nice. And not just noise, but actually nice. And we went to TC O'Leary's. So shout out TC O'Leary's on Northeast Alberta. We went there for a quick pint and a little snack with the kids. And as my wife was sprinting into the pub because the clouds just started unloading on us with rain. I was trying to hold the door behind me, so I stuck my hand up real quick, and I somehow like hit my middle finger on like this metal bar that like is across the front of the door, but it had like a sharp corner, and it literally like took a chunk out of the top of my finger. So I sat in the pub like this the whole time, like I was making shadow puppets, like trying to hold my finger together.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Dude,
Thought
you
about
need
getting
like
the whiskey.
you need like steel-toed gloves.
My
Yeah.
fingers, man.
You need to be like Bubble Boy, but just for your hands.
Bubble hands.
Gloves. Yeah, that's quite the add it to the list of finger tragedies.
I know. I keep getting them.
How long ago was
That's-
that? Last Thanksgiving or 2 Thanksgivings ago?
That was
Two.
That was
2
two.
ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I wore my bubble gloves this last Thanksgiving.
I don't know what type of contraption you're talking about. It's called a mandolin.
Yeah.
But I've told that story a couple of times. So for those of you that don't know, JP sliced half of his finger off using a mandolin on Thanksgiving 2 Thanksgivings ago. And I've told that story a couple of times to just like random other friends since. And every time I bring up the mandolin, they like squint in just imagining the pain.
Pure agony.
Yeah.
That dude inflicting pain with his storytelling on the mandolin, inflicting pain on JP is, of course, Benny Weehage in Tacoma, frickin' Washington. Benjamin Ashton Weehage. Benny with the good quaff. Benny Bedlam, because, as we've noted, he is fucking crazy, folks. Benny, you are not a dad.
No.
Yet. But
Nope.
did you do anything special for Father's Day today? Did you hang out with Papa Joe? Is Papa Joe still wearing his Santa costume from the Civil War game?
Yeah, he'll be wearing it until the Beavers lose to the team down south again.
Okay. Well,
he might get a little
never
sneaky.
take it off then.
Yeah,
that's okay. He can live
right.
with it.
Yeah. No, I woke up after 8:30, but that's not sleeping in for me. What time do you normally wake up as a dad, JP?
7:15.
Okay,
and
there's
that's
usually
like every day.
stampede that goes through the upstairs of JP's house at about 6:45 in the morning.
Yeah,
but it's it's at least rhythmic, so it can help rock you back to sleep, if you will.
I will say what the time that I spent the night over at JP's, which you were there too, so I actually didn't get the luxury of spending the night on that pull-out couch, but he did a very nice job of keeping his kids out of the basement, so we got to sleep in a little bit.
Yeah.
So
2
years
I
later,
just threatened them.
Yeah.
Don't go anywhere
Dad,
near your
one
uncles. They're dangerous people.
Yeah. Dad tip number 1 of this episode 100 on Father's Day is scare your children into submission.
Can't even edit that out because we're live on YouTube.
Yeah, no, they don't have to edit that out. That's just what you do.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
Terry, how was your Father's Day? You were here. You were here this morning.
I was there
at
this
some
morning.
time.
Yeah, and I had a great time at a good friend of the pod, Jacob Bodie's wedding last night. I was there with super secret producer Iskinder in Southeast Portland. Had a blast. The Bodies throw a great party, as I'm sure you two remember Bodie from college. Ended up closing the bars with super secret producer Iskinder, and of course in Portland, a proper American drinking town. That means 2:30 a.m. instead of 2 a.m. So we didn't get back to JP's, and I was not in bed until 3 a.m. experiencing the wonderful magic of the pull-out couch and falling asleep, and my alarm going off until like 4 hours and 45 minutes after that, maybe 5 hours after that. But so it was a great trip to Portland. As we were talking before the pod started recording, Got off on, not a rocky start, but a confusing start, as I went to the incorrect location for meeting up with JP and Skins on the first night, and ended up just hanging there and drinking there before going. Instead, this is how much of a Midwesterner I am. JP's working after my plane lands. I'm like, hey, can I just go to Fire on the Mountain without you and we'll meet up later? And you're like, yeah, I didn't want to hang out with you anyway. I had so much work to do. And I was like, cool. So go to Fire on the Mountain, all-time wing joint. And then I know we're going to be at Bearlick Brewing by JP's house. And I just punched Bearlick into my lift and just go check it. Let's go. Don't even check anything. Just get in the car when my guy shows up. And clearly, I had put in the wrong Bearlick Brewing in a completely different part of Portland. And had enough time, he pulls up, parks on the side of it. I can see this isn't Alberta Avenue or anywhere near the Alberta Arts District. I could easily have just corrected my mistake and be like, oh, I'm supposed to be at the other one. I made a mistake in the wrong address. But nope, that was too embarrassing for 3 beers and 12 wings deep at 3:00 Terry. I just go, thanks, man. Get out of the car and intentionally get a beer at the wrong brewery. And then 45 minutes later, call another Lyft driver. Pray it's not the same dude. It wasn't, but my itinerary still says I'd like to go from Bearlick to Bearlick. So I step and he goes, you Terry? I'm like, yeah. He's like, looks like you went to the wrong Bearlick. And I was like, yep, you nailed it. So I had one extra. I ended up drinking the same number of beers, and I saw JP and Skinder at the same time I would have. So no harm, no foul. Just, a long and winding route. I took the scenic route to JP's house. And Portland's a beautiful city, a great place to take a scenic route in.
Yeah.
So Bodie's wedding was good. Where was it in Southeast?
It was at Southeast. Red Event Space. It was like 9th and Morrison or something.
Oh, okay.
The after party was at White Owl Social Club.
I don't know.
The Grand Central. It's called Grand Central, right? The boat, like the big bar bowling alley. Oh shit!
Yeah.
There's a massive fly in my apartment. Or my office.
You don't have an apartment anymore,
Terry. I don't.
How much did you drink this weekend?
The first time we actually have our cameras on, a goddamn moth flies in front of my face. Holy shit. Wow.
Man, I was so tempted to play After Party by Young Rome as a 5-second, but we can't do it. So just imagine.
You can't. And if you don't know that song, look it up right now and just play it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's by Grand Central Lanes and Sassy's, an establishment we were the younger versions of us were well familiar with, and some older well. Great.
I don't recall.
Yeah.
That's Grand Central is cool, man. I that's really close to where I went to high school, and I remember going there back in the day, and it was awesome. So I'm glad it's still around.
For sure.
Sassy's?
But yeah.
I missed
Grand
this.
Central.
Yeah. The after high school special.
Pretty much everything was still there. But also, ran into a bunch of former Oregon State Pie Caps, Caleb Rath, Colin Bourdon, Connor Budd, Cody Applegate. As a little after our time, one dude who knew me, and I had the first time ever someone was like, "Hey Terry," and I'm like, "Sorry, man, I don't do it in my life." But some shouts to Caleb too. He was says like, "Yeah, I just realized you guys had a podcast, but I'm getting into it. So I don't know if you're watching, Caleb." I told him about the live on YouTube. And he's doing something with hops, something with beer, something in Yakima. So we'll probably have to have him on and talk about his expertise for some beer segments. And that can segue us into the beer segment.
All right.
JP, is there any beer in your house? Or did your whole family try and go through all of that too? 2-year-old
I
puppy.
caught my kids. I caught my kids draining the
shotgunning-
fridge.
Shotgunning Great Notion blueberry muffins.
No, there's beers in my house, and I don't think I've had this one on here, but I wanted to get it because I was feeling a little sentimental. And when I first moved back to Portland, in 2017, I was very eager to like rediscover the beer scene. Now with much more disposable income than I had the last time that I had lived up this way, so I went to the local QFC quite often, and they had a growler fill station, which was super sick. Like
That's
I was
cool.
like, this is the most Portland thing I've ever seen. Like in the grocery store, you can like buy a growler and fill it up. But the one beer I had that I was like, all right, I'm into this, and it kind of set me down the path. And so I wanted to have this one to commemorate us hitting this milestone, because this beer led me on my milestones that I ended up getting to with my Untapped check-in count. But it started all with the Freem IPA.
Ooh, that's a cool can.
That's
It
Has the
is,
can
yeah.
changed?
No, the can's been the same, but for a while you
Nice.
couldn't find it in cans. So when I first started really appreciating this beer, it was like only at bars, only at the brewery in Hood River, or only at your local QFC's growler fill station.
Hold up the front of the can one more time. Oh, that's like
My kid has a hat of this logo on it, and no one understands that it's like a
it's a
brewery
cool
hat.
logo. It's like film
That is a cool
noir
logo.
Smokey the Bear.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
he's
a bit.
show up as like a private investigator in 40s black and white.
He kind of looks like he could be
Sherlock
cousins
Holmes.
with our
Talking like
Bebe's
this,
beaver.
eh?
Yeah.
Only you can prevent forest fires.
Look at him next to our Bebe's beaver. He looks.
I know, yeah. He's
Oh,
like
yeah.
he's
They're
the one
related.
who's about to drive the Bebe's beaver home.
Yeah. He's
Yeah,
the craft
responsible
brew beaver,
person.
and ours is the 14
He's
deep natty light beaver.
drinking
Yeah.
the
He's wearing a
appropriate
fedora,
amount.
for God's sake. Of course
Yeah.
he's going to drive you home.
And he's not in a ska band, so you know he's cool.
You can't be too drunk in a fedora, obviously. That's just
That's
the rule.
Yeah.
JP, what would you say is more prolific, your Untapped profile or your Peloton profile?
Oh, man. It depends what your hobbies are. My hobby crossover of beer and Peloton is probably
It's what's
not
keeping
shared
you
amongst
alive,
many.
essentially. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sure it is.
It's all about balance.
The hashtag beers after tag on the Peloton app is a rich community of beer and fitness enthusiasts.
Yeah.
But I think there's more history with your Untapped profile, so I'm guessing.
How
that's
far back
what's
does that
done more
go?
work.
My Untapped
09.
profile?
Yeah.
09?
Well, no, I think I got it in 12. And then I stopped using it for like 4 years until we moved up here in Northeast.
Oh,
There
gotcha.
you go.
Okay.
Maybe 5
Alright.
years. Yeah.
Okay.
I had like
Nice.
3 beer check-ins at that point.
Well, how many beer check-ins have you had now, and how many Peloton rides have you done?
Oh, that's
That's the real
really actually
story.
a worthy question. Let's see. I'll try it. I've had 1,895. Good year, 1895.
Yeah.
Great year. 1895.
Yeah. Well, no, is it 94, 5 and 94? Whatever. This was maybe the year after old Haas Radburn had his epic season.
No, that was 84. 50. The
Oh.
name of the book is 59 and 84.
All right. Well, guess what? It's 11 years after, and it's still a great year.
The 11-year anniversary of the old Haas Radburn 59th win, which led to a great Twitter account.
who I think has been hacked. Has been hacked and is no longer really
oh yeah
for the original owner. So 1895 beers, and then on Peloton I've had well, I've had 1,932 workouts, but of rides, 1,253. So it's like a 1.4 beer to ride ratio.
Yeah.
I'm glad
It's a
you
good
took the
ratio.
time. I'm glad you took the time to get that math exactly right. I think our listeners would be lost without that information.
We love math, baby.
Yeah, we do.
Numbers
we are a
are
math.
beautiful.
We are a math forward podcast.
Yeah.
Benny L.
Yeah.
Talk to me.
I am drinking that San Juan cherry flavor again. It is legitimately very delicious, which is why I'm having it again.
New sponsor of the pod, San Juan Seltzer.
Yeah,
apparently.
Whoa.
Yeah, Ninkasi blew their
Congrats
chance.
to them.
Ninkasi really did blow their chance.
Dude, I almost got Ninkasi for tonight just out of spite.
Really?
We should have put Ninkasi on the crawl. We haven't mentioned this yet. You've probably figured it out by now if you're watching. 100 thanks for 100 episodes. We thanked 100-ish people, places, entities, monsters, faceless social media accounts, breweries, etc. That will all be scrolling through the bottom. Famously, Ninkasi is not one of them, as they didn't respond to Benny's several pleas.
You missed your chance.
Early in like the first 6 episodes of Belligerent Beavs podcast, Benny had an Ninkasi every single time. But you can't make them make the right decision. It's like parenting, JP, right? You just gotta hope, and then if they still don't do what you want them to do after threatening them, then you kind of just walk away. So
no, then you spell chop them.
Yeah, and now we're dangerously close to threatening an entire brewing company live on YouTube. So I'm gonna move us forward. Benny, the San Juan. What
the San Juan?
The strawberry?
Rainier
straight from
cherry.
the islands.
Rainier
straight
cherry.
from the islands. It is it's the best seltzer I've had, man. It's very good. I also did have a joint at it was like 5:30, but that's still buzzing around in my head as well right now.
That's neither here nor there.
I was thinking to myself, if you're going to pull out your stick lighter and just rip a joint without warning live on YouTube.
Truth be told, I have stopped smoking during the week. Surprise, surprise! I am way more productive at work the last 2 weeks. But
wait, it's Sunday.
I think that's
I know that. Right. So what I'm saying is on the weekends when I do smoke, I get way more stoned than what I normally do. And it lasts for way longer than what it normally does. So I thought it was in the clear.
Which explains how hard you laughed in pre-production when we lost JP for a minute because he went full RoboCop.
yeah, that's right.
Similar to me before like episode 29 or something back then. I think we have it on video. JP, you might need to add that bit of the audio to a later blooper reel or something
in our Patreon.
Yeah, but okay, so you are enjoying a cherry seltzer is the moral of that.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm really high. I'm just it's
pretty high.
Yeah, I'm pretty high, and I am enjoying a cherry seltzer.
Yeah.
On a level of really to pretty, I'm definitely more on the pretty side.
Nice. You are quite pretty.
You're always pretty.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks.
As Tom Segura would say, you fizzing, baby. You straight.
This
is exactly what I thought about the number of ways I could go with my beer tonight, but I wanted to keep it classic. I think this is a beer I've had more than any other beer on this podcast. I also love it. My words that end with M, I prefer if there are 2 of them in multiple ways. And in this case, hams, baby.
I get that.
And shout out to you, baby. Ooh, that's how you do.
You can't spell hams without Sam.
That's true. That's true. You can't spell hams without Sam. So yeah, I was like, I have I think 26 of these in my fridge right now. So I was like, let's use a couple of them on the podcast. So
you could have brought some to my fridge. Thanks a lot.
I'm a real. I could have. I'm sorry. I would have had to check my bag though. So but yeah, felt it was only right, appropriate to bring on my favorite American macro brew. So let's have a toast. We're not even 25 minutes yet. We are flying through the normal glacial paced early part of the programming.
That is a good way of putting it.
cheers to you guys. Cheers to the listeners, everyone watching. Right now, it says there are 10 million of you. That is incredible. I can't believe it, but I totally can. Here's to the next 100. Sláinte, everybody.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Congrats. What an accomplishment.
What an accomplishment.
I was trying to think about this. If we did the math, because we love math, we have 100 episodes. Each one's averaging what, like an hour 20. If you listen to it straight from start to finish at this point, well, including this episode, let's say this episode's a little over an hour. Where would we be when it's over?
It would be like Saturday. It's 120 hours.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. You could
All right,
listen to
yeah.
it. You could listen to it to your entire family road trip, JP. But start at the beginning because, as we tell to everyone, it is a narrative podcast. You don't want to lose crucial parts of the story. You can't just start at episode 100 if you haven't listened to episode 3. you got to go back. Especially since episode 5 was when we essentially said "fuck you, Larry Scott," and I still think to this day that was our best episode. Not because we've gotten worse, but we just had the perfect reaction.
Yeah.
For no benefit to anyone here, it's it ages better and better every day.
Yeah, that is true.
Right. Well, we should get into a bit of business here. I think we're going to try to keep this one at about an hour. But I do think, we have completed an entire academic year of Oregon State sports. Congratulations again to all Oregon State student athletes. And thank you for the countless incredible moments we got to enjoy due to your hard work since this past fall. And we're looking ahead to 2023, 2024. Obviously, a lot of eyes are on football. And you know what? Every morning I wake up, before I put on my makeup, whether I just closed prestigious age-old Portland dive bars and I only got 4 hours of sleep, I still look out the window and I see the Jonathan Smite bat signal in the sky, and I do my best DJ Khaled impression, and I go, another one. And I don't ask JP to play 5 seconds of any DJ Khaled song because we can't do that live on YouTube. Maybe for the 200th episode, we'll figure out how to do that live. But
we'll probably
more good news for big picture football stuff. The 2024 class is ever growing. Notice the 2024. Emphasis on that. This isn't news for this season. But 3-star athlete Andrew Brinson IV joins the growing list of athletes coming to Oregon State to play in the orange and black and play for Jonathan Smith. Louisville, Wisconsin, other big that I think had red in their color scheme, offering this kid. So it's another good get. And just reading about him, I know we still don't know what position he's going to play, and it's going to be another calendar year before he's even in camp in Corvallis. But just got me excited. I try to never wish the summer away, but fall is the best time of the year. And now there's no big, hurdles, big roadblocks, things taking up Oregon State fans' attention before that first game against San Jose State on September 3rd.
Go ahead, Benny. You can start.
Yeah, I think, there hasn't been a football season that I've been more excited for than this one, I think, ever as being a Beaver fan. So one thing that I saw the other day that got me even more excited was seeing with Big West Sports. So not like a major publication, but they know what they're talking about, and came out with the top 12 offensive linemen in the Pac-12 this year, preseason, or their list. And 4 of them were Oregon State Beavers. And so we know about the quarterback position, right? And how good it's going to be. We know about the running backs. We know about the wide receiver room. Those are the ones that we talk about. Tight end. We don't really talk a whole lot about the offensive line. And the offensive line was considered one of the best in the country last year. And nearly everyone's coming back. So it's just like I'm finding
with some good new guys coming in too.
Right. So I mean, like you lose a little bit on the defensive side. You lose quite a bit on the defensive side, but like I just don't know. I think that this year is really lining up. The schedule somewhat favorable, especially compared to last year. And we've been talking about it a lot lately, but it definitely goes without saying that atmosphere that's going to be at Reser. You could not have picked a better time for the new stadium to be, opened up for us and see what the new home of the Beaver football fam is going to be. It's just going to be a really, really special time to be a fan of that specific program. I'm definitely going to enjoy the ride. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to note about Brinson especially, one, life goals, dad goals. It's Father's Day. You got to have a fourth. I mean, like if you're gonna be naming your children after you, like you got to keep it going and get to at least 4. And like because the IV Roman numeral is sick. It's a good look. And like if you can get
that's
to just
when
the V,
but numerals get real Roman. Like otherwise, before that, it's just a bunch of I's. Like you need to get the V in there so people know.
Yeah, when you get to the V, it's official at that point. It is a dope name that's carried on from generation to generation. So I got to say, big props to Andrew Brinson, the first, the second, and the third. Hey, shout out. Thanks, Brian Miller, by the way, for the comment, making it to 100. Made his weekend. Appreciate you, man.
Appreciate that, Brian. We still need to try some of that beer, Brian. I know that's on us, but one of these days.
Yeah, that's our fault. That is our fault. But like, well, I gotta say, it is great to see somebody like Brinson come in. I love Blue Adams. Shout out Coach Adams. I mean, he's doing an incredible job filling right now what went from like one of our strengths now to one of our vulnerabilities, especially as more guys continue to age out of the program. And I'm excited for a kid like Brinson to come in and be one of those top guys. I think it's going to be a name that we're going to remember for a long time. That's going to make a massive impact at Oregon State. He took an official this last weekend and committed like in person, which was really cool. He does have a scheduled visit for Purdue coming up this coming weekend. I hope he doesn't go the same path as that one CSM player did, who had committed and then flipped 4 days later. I won't name names, but it's happened previously.
We better tell Travis Miller, who's on the crawl, Purdue SB name, to stop it. Stop messing with our commits.
Knock it off.
Boilermakers. Benny and I had a great time in West Lafayette. We didn't make enemies on that trip, but we will come there and make some enemies if you keep flipping commits. Sick of this.
But what I love is I know a lot of players do this, but I just still love seeing a guy who plays like both sides of the ball or like had played the other side of the ball, especially when they flip the defense. I think offense in high school gets so much shine that a lot of players are reluctantly on the defensive side of the ball. And Brinson played wide receiver this last year. So even though he's coming in, he was an athlete. He's coming in as a defensive back. He played wide receiver. He did pretty well, like 9 touchdowns, almost 700 yards his junior year, I think it was. So, you have a better understanding of what kind of play calling might be coming your way, and what kind of routes these guys might be running on you. So that's going to be big, of course. And again, it's not abnormal by any means, but you really do like to see that. I think another thing to add on here is and our guy Marcus Wheaton might agree, but Brinson also ran track, I believe. So he's got that speed and that burst that you can only get from training with track and field, and that'll pay dividends as well. So I think this is a great signing by Smith and Adams, and I'm excited to see how this class rounds out, because like it just feels like every single time there's a damn right tweet now, like the excitement level is sky high every time. And it wasn't always that way for the tweet or for Oregon State announcing a new commit. And it just compounds on itself every single time. And so I think that we're just continuing to ride that roller coaster up and up, which was going to lead to some really, really fun seasons in the next couple of years at the longest term.
For sure.
Yeah, and I think too that like if you look at last year, we all knew how big of a feat that was for Smith to get the program from where it was to where it is now. But I think nationally, we've talked about this just with the Beaver bias, they probably didn't get as much attention as what they deserved, and certainly sort of what we're in the echo chamber of Oregon State. So I think it was probably a little bit quieter than what we even realized. I think that changes this year if things go the way that we think they may. And I just wonder how much that's going to change recruiting, because Smith and his team have shown and proven that they are good recruiters by getting the kids that want to be in his program. And, obviously success makes that job even easier, or it makes it a little bit easier, I should say. And so it will be interesting to see that momentum to continue down the road.
For sure. And on maybe not quite the negative side, but more just a page turning side, a new opportunity side of things, if you will. A former recruit, not to pour salt in any wounds, Benny, but your guy, undisputably your guy, John Dunmore Jr., we talked about this last week, is in the portal and is moving on from Oregon State. We wished him well. We don't need to belabor that point anymore. JDJ 14, gone. Thank you for your service. Wish you best of luck. Since that was undisputably your guy for the last 2 years, since the first time we asked the question, did somebody say Dunmo? I know this has been a hard time for you, my friend.
It has.
You don't need to have a final answer for this question now, but who are maybe some of the leading candidates to replace the hole in your heart left by John Dunmore Jr. and become the new Benny's guy? Is there anyone that you've been thinking about who can fill that void? Is it just is it too early? And if it is, I'm sorry, but
no, I have
a
an
hard-hitting
answer.
podcast with hard-hitting content, and I have to ask the hard-hitting questions.
It's gotta be. So I'm changing the side of the ball that the guy's on. So it's going to be Drew Chatfield.
There you go.
We had a great experience with Drew before the Montana State game.
I've never seen you so happy.
Man. And his playing time increased, and he was one of the players that stood out to me that just consistently got better and better and better as the season progressed. I think if you look on the defensive side of the ball, to me, it actually looks really good. I think we have a lot of really strong players that are coming back in the right positions. But I also think that there's a tinge of doubt that may be coming from outside of the Beaver fam. And so I think Drew is the right kind of guy that's going to shut that up real quick. I have never seen another one of Drew's videos on Instagram. I've only seen the one, but it was after the Civil War game where he's in the locker room and coming back out to see the fans and going back into the locker room, just saying, we told them. And just that he has so much fun and gets the rivalry. I mean, that's like the thing that I don't know if there could have been a better video made. So he's my guy. I'll ride with Drew till the end.
And
good choice.
You also were that was a great moment, obviously. After again, I believe it was 31-10 and then 19 running plays in a row to complete right. One of the most improbable comebacks and give Oregon one of their most embarrassments in program history. 38-34 again was that final score. But then weeks later at the Vegas Bowl, you and I in the house, Drew Chatfield going up against his former team, Florida Gators, out of a conference, right. I believe, out of the SEC. Is that what that's called?
One sec. One sec.
One sec. Oh, I think they said it's the SEC. That's how they refer to it. The SEC. And we beat that team from the SEC 30-3, a team that Drew Chatfield used to play for, and he got a sack in that game. Did the Gator chomp, and I think was the world's most hyped human for about the 44 seconds after that play. And I think the legend of Benny Game kind of willed that to happen for your guy. But I can live by that. We were excited when he transferred. We had heard from people. My boss at the time was a Florida fan. Told me, he was like, yeah, he's got a lot of potential. If he puts it together, he'll be a real piece. And he didn't get to play a ton early on because he was injured. But part of being injured meant when we were on the field pregame before Montana State, he was on the side of the field hanging with us and loved Benny's Savage Season shirt. I don't think those shirts are in stock yet at belligerentbeavs.com/merch. But why don't you take this opportunity to go to belligerentbeavs.com/merch and buy a different shirt in honor of Benny loving Andrew Chatfield. So whenever Andrew Chatfield does anything, listeners, viewers, people in the world, the 10 million people paying attention to this, you have to hit up Benny on Twitter. Every time Andrew Chatfield does anything, anything at all, when Andrew Chatfield's name is mentioned by an announcer, you drink. That is the drinking game for this season.
Wait, I do?
Andrew Chatfield, everyone. Everyone. But
anywhere in the world.
Everyone who's not you has to hit you up and let them know and let you know that they're watching Andrew Chatfield do stuff. Make stuff do stuff.
Okay. I will say, so one of the other reasons, and I think one of the reasons that the shirt got made is because Andrew Chatfield is like, talk about someone who walks to the beat of their own drum and just does them and is unapologetically themselves. Like little things about him, like having the chain that has the Jason mask on it. Like he's built his persona around being spooky, and I like that. I think
is cool.
It is really cool.
And what was Jason's primary weapon of choice?
Oh, full circle. Now he's really my favorite.
What sound was that? Just kidding. Are you growling?
It's third down. Chainsaw.
I was gonna say, Benny, I'm surprised that you like spooky. I do love Drew Chatfield. I think that he's getting some recognition right now. Summertime recognition of somebody to watch on the defensive side of the ball, and I think that's well deserved. I think a lot of this season for him was tough because of the injury. It was probably, new situation, new playbooks, new schemes, etc. And also facing new opponents like that run different types of offenses. And that, I think a lot of that made it tough for him, one, to grab a lot of playing time, especially the injury side of things. And I think now he'll be very settled in, and he'll take his spookiness to the field more frequently. But I'm very surprised that you like spooky because we used to we used to try to watch scary movies back in college, including our one trip to a cemetery.
Yeah.
When
To
you guys were
film.
trying to become the new ghost hunters,
Well, kind of. We
the
were also
higher,
filming
drunker ghost hunters.
yeah, filming what maybe is a poorly named squirt video in a cemetery, but that's what it was. And it was. I think that scared you for like 5 days, like at least 5. Like we were home days afterwards, and you're like, I know it was all fake. We just made it for the video, but I'm actually really scared about being in our house right now.
No one listening to this has enough context to understand the social situation of Betty being scared about this.
Yeah. So
I remember.
You've come a long way.
I have. I embraced the spooky, and yeah, man. I still don't do well with spooky movies. I just like spooky where they're spooky to the team that I want them to beat. But that's what you want. You want a spooky defensive player. Like John Randall was a spooky defensive player.
He was.
Yeah.
He was also
hilarious. That's Andrew Chatfield is the John Randall of
similar body type. Yeah. Similar demeanor.
And spooky.
That's a good like hold up, but it's like a player reminds you of like a Hall of Famer, and you don't want to be the one that's like reaching, and you're just like, no, but like certain things he does, like it's like a callback. So that's fair.
Hey, I gotta make a quick correction, by the way. I'm sorry, I don't want to detract from Drew Chatfield, but we talked about Brinson and Purdue, and play the breaking news sound, Terry, from your mouth.
Like a beaver.
Yeah. So this just in, sources let us know that Andrew Brinson is no longer taking his official visit to Purdue. So
at West Lafayette.
He says that Beaver Nation's got nothing to worry about.
That's right.
There we go.
That's right.
There we go. Yeah, Lafayette Brewing Company. You probably should have had better tacos.
You know, so I'll make this quick. But I was listening to radio up here in Seattle, and they were talking about sort of how the transfer portal has changed things a lot, and now how it's not uncommon for a recruit to commit to a school but still start visiting other schools, and like what that would feel like for the coach and the team, like the team that he committed to, where it's like, all right, but you're committed, but like, are you still looking around? And so I think kids, if you have a sort of a pattern, if you will, of kids committing and then shutting down their recruiting, like completely shutting it down, I think that's a sign that your program is doing the right thing. And not saying there's anything wrong with a kid continuing to look at all. But I do think that speaks, maybe not volumes, but it says something about your program when people are just like, oh, I like it so much, I'm not even going to look anywhere else.
Yeah. We'll probably get into this in a second, based upon our outline.
We do need to get into the other side of this, but
there's a lot to be said about, or a lot of chatter about NIL and collectives and all the likes. And I think there's going to be a power struggle in the next like 4 years where players are going to decide what wins out. Is it going to be money to play, or is it going to be culture to play? And I don't know what that answer is. And I'm okay with both sides of it. I think that, hey, go get your bag. Like,
and the reality will be somewhere in the middle too.
Right.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Absolutely. Like, what's that kind of balance, or like how much influence does culture have over money? How much influence does money have over poor culture? Well, that's all to be determined. But I think you're right, Benny. I think that there's something that still maybe feels a little old school in a way that I appreciate it, where some of these players commit and they really fully commit to a program like Oregon State, like unbeknownst to them what's going to happen with NIL.
Yeah.
And because that's secondary to fit and culture. And like, I don't know if that's going to be the norm going forward, but so I'm going to appreciate that every chance that I get for the time being.
For sure. And Purdue's not like a Portland State, right? I mean, Purdue is a Big Ten school. And so to say, hey, thanks, but no thanks, I made a commitment here, that says a lot.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Good update, JP. Dynamite dropping. This,
Yeah.
The
nice.
Podcasting school we're all secretly is really paying off. We do need
new
to
media communication.
I'll call it a negative that is in the Oregon State circles right now. Men's basketball assistant coach Tim Shelton is leaving the program, leaving a decent amount of money on the table, leaving his job as an assistant, and cited NIL specifically as the reason for his decision. Now, we have not talked to him at all, and we don't really have inside sources. We chatted with our friends Sam and Andy on the Peyton years in the Discord a bit, and JP does, everyone. Sorry,
yeah,
Scoopy McGee over there, but there's no way to frame this positively. There's just different versions of bad of a coach leaving with essentially zero confidence in the program to be able to compete with the current landscape of where the sport is, especially when there have been rising questions about Oregon State's men's basketball's ability to keep pace. So I think there's a lot of worried men's basketball fans out there. The three of us are certainly worried. I'm still kind of trying to make sense of it and feel like needs additional context and think that more things about this will play out in the coming months, probably even years or whatever. But JP, what has sort of been your reaction to it, and what's some of the stuff you've read and heard that might help fans piece together like a more sort of comprehensive understanding of the situation?
I mean, I it's hard to take Coach Shelton's words out of context because I think they were very direct. And I know the quotes were pretty short, and I do trust Nick Daschle in his reporting, and I think that I don't think Daschle has any sort of agenda against Oregon State men's basketball.
It was a very cut and dry story.
He may have though reached for a story. And I don't know for sure, but like the way that I look at it as like kind of what you were saying is we don't have all the details, and we don't really know what else was said by Coach Shelton. What I do know is that from my sources is that Coach Shelton is furious about the article, as are potentially other assistant coaches currently with Oregon State men's basketball, not coaches, but staff in general. Just not with the comments, not just with whatever, but just how it all is transpired and what the perception looks like publicly. You have to imagine that Damn Nation is not thrilled with being looked at as if they have done nothing to retain some of our star athletes, or really all athletes that are contributing positively to Oregon State. But there's when you really look at it straightforward, did Coach Shelton leave for Colorado State and cite NIL as the biggest issue? And I know there have been Beaver basketball fans, men's basketball fans, who have kind of clapped back with like, well, this guy's going to Colorado State. There's no way they have the same NIL resources that Oregon State does. And if anything, it's even. And that's maybe fair, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I don't think it's all about NIL. What I think was harmful for Oregon State is that was what the article focused on. And there might be some truth to it. I think there might be some truth to it. And I think that it's not just it's not Oregon State, it's not Damnation solely. Like none of this is based on squarely on their shoulders. A lot of it's on fans too. Like these collectives don't just like create money. Like this isn't monopoly money. It comes from somewhere. There's a source to everything. And I don't think that Beaver Nation has understood the gravity of the urgency with NIL as much as other schools have with the same kind of speed to effort, right? Like I think other schools saw NIL and immediately were like, yeah, this is a good, easy way for us to get our athletes to stick around. And Oregon State has never really had to kind of go that route as a fan base. But now our athletes are playing in that playing field, and so do the fans. And I think that's where we might be a little slow to get on that train. But I don't know if it's on us either, because I think that Oregon State did themselves dirty as a university. And I like Damnation. I like what they're doing, but I think they did themselves dirty by hitching their wagon to one collective that quickly. Not to say that Damnation was the wrong choice by any means. I think that what they're doing is great. And like they're clearly active. They've been doing stuff a lot recently, the last few weeks as well. But that I think gives fans a bit of pause to be like who am I getting in bed with here if I give them my money? And so I think we're behind. We're not lacking. We're not bad at NIL. I just think we're behind, and I think we've made a lot of missteps that have contributed to that as a fan base, providing funds to a collective. And that's where I think that Shelton is making his point is like you can't get left behind in this kind of new environment of collegiate athletics. Yeah. Like there's no clawing back. There's no really rebuilding when you're established as a program or as a university with programs that takes care of their athletes. Like you don't that stuff doesn't change unless the NVIDIA founder wants to all of a sudden donate like $500 million a year to an NIL collective. Like it isn't like a reversal overnight. And so I get what he was saying. Yeah. I don't like the look of even bringing it up though. On the flip side, I think it's a bad look to even torch your previous employer on the way out, whatever your job is, but let alone one that you get interviewed on your local, regional media outlet, and everything that gets quoted was presumably still quoted correctly, maybe even taken out of context, but what was said. And I don't think that's a good look. I don't think it's fair to Oregon State or to Tinkle or to Damnation, because my last quick point is clearly something's working. Something is like Jordan Pope didn't leave. Why didn't he leave?
Right.
Why didn't he leave? Right? Glenn Taylor Jr. had planned to not leave and left for presumably NIL reasons, but also to be closer to home is also a very viable reason. And no offense to the men's basketball program, I wouldn't be surprised if anyone wanted to leave after the last 2 seasons that we had. So it isn't fair to anybody to have that article even come out. But yeah, I think it's not a great look for the program. It's not a great look for the Oregonian. It's not a great look for Coach Shelton. And it honestly isn't a great look for Beaver Nation. I think we got to do better.
Do you think, and I know we're running low on time, but and so maybe we dive into this next time, but just quick thoughts on, do you think a school like Oregon State that maybe doesn't have the capital or alumni capital that could be bringing in as like a Michigan or Ohio State or Florida, where you're going to have to choose one sport to pour that money into. So like pour it into football or pour it into men's basketball. Like those would be the two, I think, obvious sports where NIL money is being funneled the most right now. Do you think schools like Oregon State are going to have to pick one or the other?
I think that it comes down to something as simple as you pay to where it's kind of twofold. You pay to where there's a need, and you pay to where there's momentum. And it kind of sucks to say both because that like almost encapsulates everything. But like if a team is on the rise, right? Damian Martinez obviously got a great offer through Damnation Collective to ignore everything else on the market. And he was a very hot commodity on the market. So he sticks around. It worked to sustain momentum. Jordan Pope is a key, pivotal figure to a rebuild for men's basketball.
Yeah.
And you have to pay him so that process can continue to happen. And so I don't know if you could pick a sport. I think you have to pick like a moment. You have to be like, where can I make the most impact right now? Does a football team need us to continue this momentum upswing, or does men's basketball need us to help the resurgence? And I think that's where NIL is very interesting because it does help with the resurgence. It isn't on like hiring a new coach or firing your coach and bringing in a different name. It isn't the recruiting trails. It starts with NIL now. It starts with NIL.
It really does.
So
yep.
That I think if you're trying right at this point, if you're trying to put your money somewhere and you're a new contributor towards a collective and Damnation Collective specifically, I'd put it towards a rebuild versus something that has momentum, because I think there are established people who are already boosting the programs one way or another that are now doing it through more legal terms that are already taking care of programs like football.
Yeah. And he did say like Shelton, who is, you hadn't read the article or weren't aware, he is the son of Oregon State basketball great Lonnie Shelton. So this was a hire like inside the family, like someone, familiar with Oregon State and the culture and history and everything. And to be fair to Dashel, a lot of things he said are in that article, but you're right. It is framed as an NIL issue. And like that Shelton would leave to be easier somewhere else, which it does not sound like is the case. That's also kind of a editorial thing. So I understand him being upset about the way he presented. His quote that sticks out to me is where he's like, things like sometimes like with these kids, it's like, man, is Oregon State going to get lapped before they even get in the race? And I think right now that just applies to men's basketball. And we've talked about this and we've talked about it and we've hammered it into oblivion. And I don't think we're any closer to figuring out that solution. I don't necessarily think that's like sort of a one or the other when it comes to like football or men's basketball, Benny. But it seems that is in the position that we are in specifically right now.
Yeah.
And some really important, really intentional decisions need to be made about securing the longevity of a competitive program here. And, people transfer and leave for all kinds of reasons. Like, you have to look at all of those as a case-by-case basis. Like, Oregon State doesn't automatically suck at NIL because Glenn Taylor Jr. left. Like, you need to, you can identify patterns and stuff. And if people keep on leaving, then it's like, all right, what we have together isn't just working out. But not everyone is leaving because Oregon State doesn't know what the hell it's doing in the men's basketball landscape in regards to NIL. And I don't know. This is something, if we somehow got an hour long to just have a one-on-one with Scott Barnes, the only sport I would ask him about is men's basketball, because that's the most challenging part of his job, and it's fascinating to me. And we've all spent a lot of time thinking about this. We all love the sport and love the team, and I just don't know what you do, because even if you throw money at it, it still needs to be smart decisions used with that money. Like, we see teams get into trouble all the time. I think even though often it's a competitive program, but Texas A&M football has like the richest donors ever. They went 5-7 last year, and that's a lot of things came into fruition for that to happen. But like, if somehow like Damn Nation had $1 billion budget tomorrow, our problems aren't solved. Like one of them is, but still the decisions need to be the right ones down the line. And it's like a big problem would have been solved with that. I don't want to like diminish the work that the many people in fundraising right now are doing. But yeah, it's tough. That's why we always try not to be super reactionary with this kind of thing, because it is complicated, and it doesn't sound like Shelton leaving, reading the article and knowing that, even with everything that's just in the article, if that was all he said, I don't think that's saying like, oh, this Mountain West school has better NIL resources for men's basketball than Oregon State did. So
I think the landscape's different, though.
The landscape is different. The landscape's very different.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you get like you get a half a dozen donors. Colorado State, that's significant compared to
who you're recruiting against.
Yeah,
sure. Expectations are different. Culture's different. Yeah. Also, I mean, it's not the Paris of the Pacific Northwest, but Fort Collins is pretty sweet. I can attest to that. It's a great town. It's a great town. Just like if you want to get real sicko with it, like if you do a deep dive on like coaching trees, like a lot of really good coaches have gone through the Colorado State program. That's shocking because you don't really think Colorado State basketball immediately. But anyway,
that's the last thing. I don't want to like drag this on too much, but I do want to. You have to point out the elephant in the room. One, did Shelton see Colorado State as a stepping stone either for him to, internally move into a head coaching role or to get the right exposure to land a head coaching role elsewhere, but also B, does he see the writing on the wall at Oregon State that he doesn't want to be part of that exodus? And I don't know. I mean, who knows? But I'm just saying, like, something to consider. Definitely something to consider.
It is fucking cruel that you use the term writing on the wall during the one time I can't ask you to play 5 seconds of by Stevie Wonder, because there is writing on the wall. There is writing on the wall. We don't know what it says, though. I think that's the way that I'm going to continue to approach this. And, man.
It feels like we are right. Man, that it feels like we're sort of in the darkest place for men's basketball that we have in a really long time. Certainly since the Elite Eight run.
Well, yeah. But I'm going to say it's insane to be in this place, especially considering as our friends at the page us all the time. Always a great time to bring up that Oregon State has gone to an Elite Eight more recently than Arizona has. And that's still true. That is still true.
True. But it just seems like, and I'm not saying that this program is in the same place as what Gary Anderson put the football program in, so don't take it out of context. But
no.
I do think the same sort of feeling of despair, where the feeling that Shelton was quoted as saying that Oregon State's at risk of getting lapped before they even start the race. That quote encapsulating, I think, that a lot of Beaver basketball fans are feeling. Beaver men's basketball fans are feeling.
Yeah, for sure. It's a pickle.
Yeah.
It's a Portland pickle.
Portland pickles. Hey, did you guys see what happened yesterday with the pickles?
No.
Not to get off topic, but let's get off topic. So yesterday they were down like 9-0 or 8-0 or something. They clawed back to tie the game and push it to extras. In extra innings at like 11 p.m. as it was like in like the 12th inning, the sprinklers turned on the field. So then then there's a delay until they can get them turned off and they resume play. And after they resume play for like an hour or so, the city turns off the lights. on the field at 12:15 in the morning.
Oh my God.
So their game was suspended
Wow.
due to
Darkness
having
or
no
Paying the
lights.
city
Yeah.
bill.
Not having a permit to be loud after midnight.
Yeah.
I saw a clip of all the players running around with their cell phone lights on in the outfield. And I was wondering what was going on, but that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's very
Shout out Portland Pickles.
Yeah.
very funny. And also on the front, we have to congratulate Messrs. Gavin Turley and Travis Bazana for being named third team All-Americans by the National Collegiate Baseball Writers Association of America. And congrats, boys.
Maybe a
Incredible.
little, yeah, but also maybe a little bit of a snub. I feel like Turley's trajectory by the end of the season was just insane, and
Yeah,
like
right.
the body of work that Travis Bazana put together throughout the entirety of the year was just remarkable for a guy who really had the target on his back when it comes to being the top returning performer to Oregon State baseball. And I thought he delivered on that promise and more.
Yeah.
And so I do think that he might have been more deserving, even a second team or higher. But shout out both of them for just incredible seasons. I'm glad that they were acknowledged in some fashion, but I don't think that they're going to be hoisting trophies for third team All-American. I think that they're gunning for that top spot, and both of them, by the time it's all said and done, will get it.
I agree.
And other further shout outs, we do need to get out of here. Thank you all for sticking with us, all 17 million trillion of you. We're so tickled to have such an audience live on YouTube for the first time, but also for the 100th time. This past weekend, Oregon State graduation. Congrats, all the graduates. Whether you got your official diploma or just walked to walk, whatever, you did it. You did that. You're in your cap and gown. Hopefully you had 1, 2, 11, 12 mimosas on the lawn and had a great moment with your friends and your family. And special shout outs, of course, to Belligerent Beavs athlete and graduates Maddie Dagan and Ryan Brown.
Let's go.
So amazing to work with both of
you.
Obviously, we're not saying farewell because you're in the Blam forever, but can't wait to see everything that y'all accomplish. And working with you has been a highlight of this silly little show that we started for silly little reasons. So thank you and congratulations to both of you and to also all the class of 2023. It's 2023 and you're college graduates of the best university on the planet, the Harvard of the Pac-12, the Paris of the Pacific Northwest, Oregon State University. For gosh sakes.
I think it was the 158th graduating class or something like that. Which makes sense.
Wrong. 1868 plus 100.
It said 100.
It would be 1960. Well, I guess
I'm only going off of what I saw.
Okay, well,
it'll be the 125th.
Oh my God, math!
No,
baby.
wait, no, 155th.
It would be 155th.
Yeah.
Whatever it was, I was trying to do the math back to mine, and I was like, "Oh, we had a very insignificant number for our."
I can't wait
class.
to go back and watch this this part of the video where we bring up the math on the graduating class, and all of us do this. How many? Wow. All right. Anything else before we get out of here, boys?
No, happy Father's Day to all the dads in the Beaver fam. Keep up all the great work.
On my flight today, when we landed, they're like signing off. They wished everyone on the flight a happy Father's Day. And they said to all the dads out there, all the grandpas out there, and all the future dads out there.
Wow.
And I'm like, I feel like that's undeserved praise. Like, You haven't.
Yeah,
done
we don't know how
anything
they'll
yet.
perform.
You didn't stand up and say thank you.
Thank you.
As a future
clap.
dad, I appreciate it.
They were probably mad that no one clapped when you landed, so they had to try to get as many applause as possible.
Do people clap on flights when they land?
I don't know. I've heard
When
this.
they're
It's
scared
on Reddit.
flights, when they're nerve-inducing flights.
I guess that makes sense. Anyway,
Yeah.
thank you, Beaver fam, for being with us from episode 1 to 100, and for joining us on this journey as we made our dreams come true tonight, guys. Being live on
It made
YouTube,
Benny fall asleep.
It made Benny fall asleep.
It's that joint.
This is something. It's weird when your dream comes true for something that you've been dreaming about, but you didn't know it really existed, and like until that long ago. Like we've all been dreaming of this moment in our mid-30s since earlier in our mid-30s. Like that's how long we've been dreaming of this, and to see those dreams manifest in reality, it's really a thrill. Thank you to everyone who has listened to the show, everyone who has given the show a 5-star review, everyone who has subscribed, everyone who has bought merch from belligerentbeavs.com/merch, and everyone who has shared the show. Do us a favor and do all of those things again right now. Remember, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stars only, please, wherever you get your podcast. For the Belligerent Beavs, I am Terry Horseman, at Terry Horseman on Twitter, and at Sir Terrence Horseman on Instagram.
There's no sir.
There is no sir, but whatever.
But it sounds better.
It does sound better like that. I'm gonna get knighted one day. To all the current and future knights out there, we thank you for your service.
Happy Night Day.
Thank you.
Yeah, give me a hello if you wish to.
Happy Night Day.
And my perfectly coiffed friend in Tacoma, Washington, Benjamin Lawrence Sebastian Wehage. He is Benny with the good coif, Benny Bedlam, because he's fucking crazy, folks. Benny Bowl Game, Benny Burner, Benny Blastoff, Benny smoked the appropriate amount of weed to give a really good performance on the episode today. That nickname won't stick, but
Thank you.
Good job.
I like it. Thank you.
And the Podfather himself in Portland, drinking beers with really cool Smokey the Bear on them. It's JP Bertram at JP Bertram on Instagram and at the Trill J on Twitter. That's at the_Trill_J because he's too trill to be real. And follow the show. This is written on the screen, so it's ridiculous that I'm saying it, but you know, we're covering all of our bases. At Bellig Beavs on Twitter, at Belligerent Beavs on Instagram, at Belligerent Beavs on MySpace in your top 8 on your page and in your hearts.
Next to Tom.
Friendster, Mastodon. Yeah, we chilling with Tom.
Ahead of Tom.
Yeah.
Ahead of Tom. Thank you so much for riding with us from the first episode and through this episode while we tried something new. Going to be a little bit of a break from us as we get the yawns out of our system, nap.
Put some ice on my between my legs.
Yeah, and watch film. Lots of film for every single so we come back super informed. We'll still be
and by that it's just 19 straight reruns of the 2022 Civil War.
What year is it?
Where am I?
It doesn't matter what year it was. You just have to remember Oregon State ran the ball 19 times in a row and not a duck anywhere in Corvallis, Eugene, or anywhere in Oregon could say SCO. Go fuck yourselves.
Yeah.
Burn your asses again.
It just says 19 straight. That'd be a good next t-shirt.
All right. Thank you for everyone who tuned in, and stick with us for the next 2 hours as we brainstorm shirt ideas that JP will veto. Thank you again. This show is so dumb, but so fun and so meaningful to all of us. And we just are so that so many of you enjoy it. We should have thanked 1,000 million billion people on the crawl, but 100 for 100 seemed enough. So Thank you again for rocking with us. We'll be back soon. We'll still be on social and stuff, like just because there won't be an episode for like a month or so. Like we're still here, and if something breaks, we'll have an emergency video. But until next time, until episode 101, where we might restart and do some crazy shit. See you again. So long, farewell. Remember, no matter what, you can't spell Chapham. So, chop 'em.
Chop 'em.
Chop 'em.
And bring back Bernice.
And we made it to 100.
Woo!